So for introduction, concrete is a composite material composed of fine and coarse aggregate welded together with a fluid cement that harden over time. So for this case study, is one of the alternatives to enhance the learning experience, especially in aspect of active learning. In this case study, we are required to analyze the bungalow house that collapsed during construction, and we are required to involve in the structure health inspection for the bungalow. So we are required to propose test or experiment that we think suitable and related to the case, which can help the investigator to identify the problem. So for the objective is to classify the condition of the RC building during the construction period and to propose the workflow for the overall investigation about the factor of failure of the building during the construction period and the testing need to do before construction.
For comprehensive tests, the apparatus that are needed to carry out this experiment is, for the first thing is brick itself, and then concrete brick and compression testing machine. For comprehensive tests, the objective is to determine the behavior of material subjected to compressive load and apply it to find out why the building collapsed. So the procedure is brick and concrete blocks are being wiped to extrude any grit or projecting fins from the surface of the cube that are being conducted along with the platen. The dimension both of the specimen are recorded. The specimen are then being weighed in air and the data was recorded. Specimen was then being placed into testing machine hands before the experiment was conducted. The bearing surface of the testing machine is clean. Specimen are then placed centrally on the lower platen in such manner with the load was applied to the opposite side of the cube as casted. Specimen was then centered and load are being applied with a shock. Maximum load carried by each specimen during the test was recorded, and the type of failure and appearance of cracks was observed. So this is the test and the data and analysis. The formula of compressive strength, area of bricks divided by maximum load of applied. And this is the compressive strength. Discussion is due to the collapse of the bungalow house. It is found that there are few reasons on why the building has failed and collapsed, such as poor choosing numbers of days to use the brick, which led to the unmature uses of concrete. Furthermore, as for the result, the building is not safe to be used. For slump test, the apparatus that are needed to carry out the experiment is frustrum cone that consists of lower diameter and upper diameter and height of diameter. The second apparatus is non-absorbent horizontal plate, a scope and a towel, tamping rod, and a steel rod. For slump test, the objective is to determine the workability of fresh concrete that has been used to build bungalow house by carrying out slump tests. So the procedure: 15 kg of fresh concrete are prepared. Mold prepared by measure the mold is cleaned and dried before starting the experiment. The mold was then damped inside along with a base of clean rag to ensure friction between fresh concrete and concrete to be reduced. Stand on the mold's smooth hard plate and both feet are placed on the footrest. And then the mold are filled with 3 equal layers of concrete. Each layer are tamped by using ramping rod of 25 temp each. Top surface of mold was then smoothed by using palm by passing the rod over the mold and level with the towel. The base of the mold was then wiped clean from any excess concrete. Then carefully the mold was then removed slowly in vertical direction. The mold was then inverted and placed down on the plate close to the mold. Slump was then obtained to some extent. Rod are then raised across top of inverted empty mold and made sure to touch over the mold concrete. Slump of concrete was then recorded from the highest point of concrete, and measure slump was then recorded along type of slump. So this is the type of slump: true slump, zero slump, collapse, and shear. This is the data, and the discussion is based on the result of the slump test. The value of cement water ratio that are used in bungalow building is not suitable during to connecting the slump shows that testing and showing promising result, which is collapse slump, that which make the building collapse. It is shown the aim of the report is achieved by calculation done on the data. For further implementation, based on the result, the building water content must be corrected with the value of slump 0.80 till 0.90, which will ensure the building won't collapse. Thank you.
Rebound hammer test. The objective is to assessing the compressive strength of concrete with the help of suitable correlation between rebound index and compressive strength, assessing the uniformity of concrete, assessing the quality of concrete in relation to standard requirement, and assessing the quality of one element of concrete in relation to another. So the apparatus that we need is rebound hammer and measuring equipment. Okay, the procedure is clean the surface of the concrete. The surface of the concrete that want to be tested must be clean and smooth. The next one, mark the test point on the surface of the concrete by using marker. And the third one, calibration of rebound hammer. The rebound hammer is tested against the test anvil made of steel having Brenner hardness. It is necessary that rebound hammer is checked against the testing anvil before commencement of a test to ensure the reliable result. And the test anvil should be of steel, having Brenner hardness of about 5,000 Newton per millimeter square. So the rebound hammer should indicate that the range of reading on the anvil is suitable for different types of rebound hammer. Again, the next one, hold the instrument in a position that allow the plunger to strike perpendicularly to the surface of the concrete. Finally, take again the test anvil value, and then repeat the experiment to get the 10 reading. And for the data analysis, as you can see, the average rebound number, we got more than 40, 30 to 40, 20 to 30, less than 20, and 0. And the quality of concrete is stated at the right side. And discussion. So this is the discussion. For me, the specimen are wet cure. They should be removed from wet storage and kept in laboratory atmosphere for about 24 hours before testing in order to obtain a correlation between rebound number and strength of wet cure and wet test cube. And this is the example of the graph that we get from the test.
Penetration resistance test on hardened concrete. The objective of this test is to determine the uniformity of concrete. Second, to specify exact location of poor quality and or deteriorate concrete zone. Third, assess in place strength of concrete. The apparatus used for this test is probe, measurement equipment which is vernier clipper or depth gauge. Third, positioning device and sampling of the concrete. The procedure for this test is: first, place the positioning device on the surface of the concrete at the location to be tested. Second, mount a probe in the driver unit. Third, position the driver in the positioning device. Fourth, fire the probe into the concrete. 5. Remove the positioning device and tap the probe on the exposed end with a small hammer to ensure that it is not rebound and confirm that it is firmly embedded. 6. Place the measuring base plate over the probe and position that it bear firmly on the surface of the concrete without rocking or other movement. Discussion. For this test, the compressive strength of the concrete is 27 MPa, which is still suitable for residential building. The compressive strength recommended for residential building is around 17 MPa to 28 MPa or higher. The collapsed bungalow is reusable for further construction even though a part of it collapsed. The collapsed part not directly affected by other structure of the building, since the collapsed part is the roof structure it also collapsed during construction, which means it does not fully integrated to the other structure. This test is done so that the investigator able to find out whether the structure can be continued to be used for the construction or need to be fully demolished to restart the construction. Conclusion. As conclusion, based on the situation of the RC building. The number of days for the bricks to be implemented on the building should be used after the strength come to 28 days based on the compressive strength test. The implementation of slump tests on RC building are important as in point of view of civil engineering knowledge. The collapse of building due to uneven value water cement ratio in the value water added in the SS which led the slump test into failure. Hence, the best value for slump is between 0.80 to 0.90. The ribbon test hammer method provide a convenient and rapid indication of the compressive strength of concrete by means of establishing a suitable correlation between the rebound index and then the compressive strength of the concrete. The rebound value can be measured discretionary whereas the number of crushed specimen is limited. Then the rebound hammer test result can give perspective to the investigator to identify the cause of the building to collapse, and it is very useful for the investigation of the collapsed building. The result from the penetration resistance test is that the concrete has 27 MPa compressive strength. This means the building can still be used in the construction and does not affect by the collapse of the building.